And action. Hey guys, it's your girl Wintana and I'm back with the new season of Bittersweet. It didn't feel like it hit. Hey guys, it's your girl Wintana and I'm officially back with the new season of Bittersweet. I can't wait to get into all the conversations. I can't wait for you guys to see the guests that we have coming up. Make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date with all the new content. And also the new studio is all going to be amazing. So make sure you tap in. What's up guys, it's your girl Wintana and I'm back with the new season of the Bittersweet Podcast. So excited to have you guys here. There is a lot that we have planned for the new season, guys, so please stay tuned. I can't wait to show you all the great guests that we have coming on. But first things first, we have a really special guest here. Introducing to you guys Miss Auriela St Clair. She's a Cameroonian-German comedian, podcaster, content creator. You might know her from her TikTok series, Profiling Melbourne Suburbs, which we need to get into because I'm like, I don't know how you know so much about different suburbs, but... And also her comedy festival shows. You've done a lot and we're going to get into all of that. How are you feeling?
I'm so honored to be on the podcast. You've truly made me feel so welcome in this beautiful space.
Yay, I love that.
And yeah, excited to chat about all things, everything.
All things you, girl. We're going to get into it because, yeah, you're like, there's a lot that I said when you came in. I'm like, there's so much that I want to talk to you about, from your comedy to even just your move to Australia. And yeah, there's a lot. So before we get into all of that, we like to do a little icebreaker on this show. So how do you feel about that?
Let's do it.
Let's get into it. So the first question on the icebreaker is, what's something minor that your partner does that has no business setting you off?
Oh my God. Okay, so I do a lot of like the laundry and stuff at home. So whenever she puts something in the laundry basket that I now know I've just like washed or that's still clean, I'm like, why'd you do that? Now I have to like go through this instead of just being able to put the whole load in. I have to like take out everything that doesn't need to be washed every time.
Wait, so she puts the dirty clothes?
No, just clean clothes. Like she's worn it once, it's in the basket, and I'm like, we can't wash, like jeans or sweaters, things that are like heavy, they take a long time to dry.
Yeah.
And also you're not supposed to wash like denim after every wear.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, put it
in a separate, do you have a separate basket though? Because where are they going to put it?
We have like 3 different baskets and like two whole ass wardrobes.
Yeah. That's, I feel like that's fair to be honest, especially once you say it. And it's like, stop. Do you guys live together?
Yeah,
yes,
we do.
Live together, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I was thinking about this question, for me, I have like this irrational thing that really bothers me. I don't know if it's irrational, but like really slow people.
Yeah, same. Yeah, like unless there's like a reason. Like if I see somebody being like slow and they have like a baby or they're like elderly, fine. But like somebody our age who's just in the middle of the road.
Just slow.
Slow.
Or like if I ask you a question and you're just like, you're taking so long to reply, or if we need to go somewhere and I just see the way you're getting out of the car, it's just really, I have to walk ahead, or I'm going to like, my face will say something. You know?
You're like a fast walker.
I'm like medium. I have friends that are like fast. Rahel, we have off-camera crew today, guys. They're laughing right now. She will be like ahead, and I'm like, slow down, I can't. Why are we running? We're walking, we're having a good time. What is this? So I'm like medium. So when people are slower than me, I feel like it's concerning.
True.
Yeah. Okay, the next icebreaker question is, what's a hill that you're willing to die on?
Public transport should be like $1.
Period.
Yeah. Like it should be like almost free.
Yeah.
Or like free ideally, but like I know that's like maybe too utopian, but I'm like,
too much.
It should be like $1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. My hill that I'm willing to die on, and I actually want to know what you think about this as someone who wasn't born here. I love Vegemite.
What? Okay, no, I don't hate it. I was introduced to it later in life, and I feel like it took a lot of like butter on the bread. A lot of like other things. I actually quite like it with like avocado because then it takes away the like
avocado taste or the Vegemite taste?
The Vegemite taste is lessened, and I love avocado, so
that's so interesting. Avocado and Vegemite.
You just put like a little bit with your butter, Vegemite, slice the avocado, put it on the bread. Try it.
I'm not an avocado girl.
Oh my God. Wow.
Sitting on two ends of the spectrum here.
Loves avocado, loves Vegemite.
I feel like as a black girl, you can't admit that you love Vegemite, or black person. Like there's so much, I don't know what it is in the community, but people side-eye you.
Yeah.
Or people either that you're, I don't know if I'm wrong, but I feel like the people that I know have side-eyed me. But avocado for me is too much. I like to mask the taste of avocado by putting a lot of stuff on it.
Okay.
Like chili and lemon and this to get rid of it. Because it's...
I don't know. We must be just opposite like taste buds or something.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's interesting. Next year, I just want to get to know you. I feel like there's so much, like I said, from your comedy to now you're a full-time content creator and freelancer.
Yeah.
Firstly, you're Cameroonian and you're German, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about your move from Germany to Australia.
Okay, so yes, I'm Cameroonian-German. I grew up in Germany, and people sometimes are like, oh, that's an interesting mix, but Germans are everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's bound to be some mixed people. And I grew up in Germany in like a small town. And at the age of 16, I moved to Bolivia after my mum passed away because my dad had retired and moved to Bolivia.
Okay. Was your mum, which one of
my
your
mum
parents?
is Cameroonian.
Okay.
And my dad is German.
Yep.
Blessed, black mum.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Very lucky. But sadly she did pass when I was a teenager.
Sorry
about that. I spent some time living in Bolivia with my dad, and then I met an Australian guy.
Okay.
So then I came to Australia.
That's how the story goes.
Yeah.
I know a few girls that have, met a guy, and then, so you came to Australia.
I came to Australia. I didn't love it at first. I was like I imagined it to be like warm, beachy, beautiful, and then I'm in Melbourne on Sydney Road, and it's so ugly and like cold,
gloomy.
And then I kind of just actually eventually did really fall in love with Melbourne and split up with that guy, but I stayed
in the city.
Yeah.
Does he still live in Melbourne?
I have no idea. I haven't talked to him in like 9 years. It was a really nasty breakup. So
okay. Well, now you're here and you're thriving.
Thank God.
How did you get into comedy?
So I always thought I was funny. And I was dating a different guy who was a comedian. And I was like, if he's a comedian, I can be a comedian. Because in this relationship,
I'm the funny one, right? Okay.
Yeah. So I entered this stand-up competition called Raw Comedy. It's on like every year. It's run by the Melbourne Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
And I did like a few open mic spots before to prepare and sort of figure out what my material was going to be like. But it is an amateur competition, so anyone can enter. And then I really loved it, and I went to like the Victorian state final.
Yeah.
So clearly somebody thought I was funny, and that just gave me the reassurance to keep going. And that was in, I think, 2017 or 18.
Yeah.
And I've been doing comedy ever since.
How did you, when you say you were with someone and he was a comedian, did you want to be that, or was it like what was that? You know what I mean? That like mental process to you, like, actually, I want to do that.
No, he was like, okay, so we met like working retail. So he wasn't like a full-time comedian. Also, when I say comedian, people think like sometimes that's how every comedian makes their money, but it's actually
they're
like
doing other things.
Yeah, doing other things, and we're actually not getting paid at all.
Yeah,
it's like
crazy.
An expensive hobby most of the time. But yeah, because I feel like it's easier to do something when you have someone in your life doing it, right? Like whether that's like a podcast or stand up or like study, right? If you have someone in your life that already does it and they do it like regularly or successfully or not, but then you're like, oh, so-and-so does that.
It makes it more like the proximity to it. So
Exactly.
It feels like I can do it if they can do it. Yeah, I understand that.
So that's sort of like what helped it as well, because I was like, if he can do it, like, why wouldn't I?
Yeah. And what's that whole scene like, comedy? Because I feel like we were saying off camera before, we don't know what it's like at all in terms of just like people that actually go and like get into doing stand-up. Obviously, you have your really successful series on TikTok as well. Did that kind of boost your career in comedy or Yeah,
it absolutely helped, because it can be so hard finding your audience as a comedian, because if people haven't seen you, let's say, on TV or already doing stuff on the screen, nobody's going to see my name in small font in a program guide with 500 other names and be like, I'll see this one. So doing social media stuff has definitely helped me reach a whole new audience that otherwise probably wouldn't have found me. And it's kind of, I feel like, the only way to do it, because the other way to get kind of successful in comedy is sort of that competition I mentioned before, raw comedy. So let's say the judges of that competition love your stuff and then they put you through the national final that gets televised. And then the winners of that can go on to a like lineup show that's managed by the comedy festival. So that also makes it a little bit easier, because when you're running a comedy festival show, you have to pay all the expenses up front, from your marketing, hiring the room, doing a photo shoot, registering to be in the festival. All of those things can be quite hard as an entry barrier if you're someone who's like not really done much comedy. So people who get put on that show then maybe get like management that then can push them to be on more like TV spots or just book more paid gigs.
So it's kind of like you're doing all the hard yards on yourself for yourself. Is there a hope that you will get picked up, or is it like, I'm doing this for the love of comedy? Because I think there's like there's this two-way thing with content creators. I feel like there's a strategy as well. Like a lot of us, especially when you're doing things that are very grassroots, I feel like podcasting, even like content creating online or like comedy, now that you've told me, is very much like you can do it yourself. You don't need a production team to do the things.
Exactly.
But in order to do it, like you obviously, it's going to cost you a lot of money to do it at a level of like high quality, especially now with the competition of everyone kind of creating. You need to put out good content. Otherwise, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So is there like a hope that, or is there like a strategy of like, if I do it like this and do it like this, I'm, you know, the dream is to get management and to do this, or
Well, I think you're right in terms of like, there is so much competition. There are so many like comedians and so many funny people. And I think people's strategy has just been get management and make management like help push you into the stratosphere. Which is like Channel 10.
And it's like,
because we're in Australia.
What is the goal for comedians as well? Like, where are you guys trying to go?
I don't know. LA,
which is fair.
New York. I feel like everyone wants to have like a special on Netflix. I think that's like the ultimate goal. Like I would love to have a Netflix special. I think that's sort of what, if I asked 10 comedians, 9 would say the same thing, because that's sort of the best way to reach a bigger audience. And then like you could tour your show and sell tickets to live shows, and that's probably the best way to do it.
There's so much work involved in like content creating in general, or like being, I guess, self-employed and doing your own thing. I think people don't see like the different. I was listening to an episode with do you know Kiki Palmer?
Yes, I love Kiki Palmer.
Had a podcast and she was talking about how like in this, like as someone who's in the entertainment space or like the media space, you can't just have like one source of income. Like she talks about how she's a podcaster, she's in theater, she's a presenter, and all these things are kind of like what's kind of creating her lifestyle. But I think, you always, I don't know, when I first came into this space, it was always like, okay, if I do this and then we just work our way into like getting management and doing this, we can. But there's actually so many different, it's cool because you get to like see different parts of yourself as well. But it's a lot of work.
It really is. And like people don't realize, right?
Yeah.
Like I used to do another podcast just by myself where I do like tarot readings. I just like talk, like whatever was on my mind that week, I talk about. And I really had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
But then I was so overwhelmed with all of the other things on my plate that I had to like stop doing it.
Yeah.
And recently someone was like, hey, like, is your podcast coming back? I miss your tarot readings. And I'm like, I'm going to do it now that I'm freelance, but for the last year or so, it was just too much because like you said, you're juggling all of these different things.
It's a lot. And I saw I was like, that's such a cool concept to have, like a tarot reading at the start. So please bring it back.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, you mentioned this and I wasn't even going to talk about it before, but having, as a Black woman, stepping into the comedy scene. And just like, you were saying to us, like, anyone can do it, you can do it. But I was like, I feel like there's an acquired taste with the comedy that we have, or like our sense of humor, or just even like relatability.
Yeah.
Do you struggle with that? Because let me let that question land. Yeah.
Yes, I feel like I said before we started recording, I think every Black girl is funny. Like even just things my mum would say were so funny and so like problematic.
Yeah. Problematic is like the word.
Funny and problematic. And I think we have naturally like a cast of people in our lives who are constantly providing like comedy. And I think the thing you're saying about relatability definitely hits because let's say I make a joke about racism, which is something like we experience so broadly, and I post that online. Every white man is going to be like, you're only making jokes about race. That's all you can talk about is like race stuff. Make an actual joke. And it's like, well, you have no experience with racism whatsoever. You probably couldn't even stand up on stage and say one sentence. And you think you're telling me like that my comedy is bad, but people are laughing.
People are laughing.
People are laughing.
Relating. It's because
And then also with my audiences, let's say I'm doing my own show at the festival and people booking tickets like know who they're coming for, and my audiences look really like mixed.
Yeah.
I have people of all genders, backgrounds, ages even coming to my show. And they will relate and they'll love it. But let's say I'm doing like a 5 to 10 minute spot at a comedy room that somebody else books and somebody else promotes, and the audience might look a little bit more uniform. They might not get me as much as the people who are actually coming to see me. And that also kind of makes a difference in, how the crowd like interacts with me.
Does that make you uncomfortable? Like, are you already aware of like, oh, this is not my crowd?
I'd always try to win them over because you never know. Like, you never know whether they'll still like it. Like, I've had crowds where I'm like, oh my God, they look so like conservative and I'm going to talk about like being Black and gay. And then they loved it.
Okay.
So
you just never know what you're going to get.
Exactly.
I was looking through your TikTok comments section. Miss because you have that series and I'm sure people know the one that it's like different suburbs in Melbourne, and a lot of the comments, like I was triggered like listening to it, and it would be like you commission flat girl, go back to, or like just things kind of like assume one, it's like you're not even from, like you weren't born in Australia, so to assume that already, like where you come from, and already is triggering, and you can see that it's purely because of what you look like. Yes. Is how I took it. And I feel like we just don't talk enough about the ignorance going on in Australia. I mean, 100%. We do, but you know what I mean? I feel like there's popular, like there's the wider Australian culture, and then there's like these pockets. And I feel like like how do you deal with that backlash? It's
hard because like you're saying, these are things I just want to be like, well, nothing wrong with living in commission flats. Wrong with it. We need more, like build government housing, build affordable housing, but also I'm a sensitive person. Like I do take it to heart when somebody's like trying to come for me and it's really hard not to snap back because then people go, well, you didn't have to come for them that hard. I just,
you're like, I'm going to double down.
No, like I used to like pick out a commenter that was saying something like really ignorant. I'd be like, you couldn't even spell this right. And then people would be like, why are you criticizing their spelling? Like that's ableist. And I'm like, did you just see what they called me? Like now I'm fighting with you. So it's just a constant of fighting with people because you're on the internet. So to them, it's not real.
Yeah.
But to me, like this is my life.
You're very much a human being.
Exactly.
And you're experiencing this. And I don't like how there's kind of a hierarchy of what you can, like what, I don't know, I guess like discrimination on all levels is wrong. But I feel like sometimes if it's like a racism thing, you're going to kind of put that lower than someone that, like you saying that's ableism when you're clearly defending yourself because someone's being racist to me is just like ignorant.
It is.
It's
and
just very much tone deaf.
The other thing too is there was this other creator, I haven't seen him pop up so much, but he did kind of similar videos to me. He'd be like, he was white, so he'd be like, if you're at Frankston train station, you'll see people getting stabbed. And people would be like, haha, that's so fucking funny. Like, and I could never say that because then it would be like, why the fuck are you talking about our suburbs? You're not even from here.
Or do you know where you
exactly.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I wouldn't say things as extreme as these like white men get away with because all of my commentary is very subtle. I'm like, if you live here, you're probably drinking soy milk. And people are like, what do you mean? I've never drunk soy milk in my life. Meanwhile, somebody else is talking about like actual racist stereotypes in their suburb content and it's fine. So yeah, the double standard is real.
I can imagine. And like, do you feel like it's affected you in terms of like being someone that can be online all the time? Do you take breaks? Are you just like,
Yeah, like I've posted so much less because I need to protect my mental health and I need to like touch grass and like be away from my phone. And I miss when I first started doing stuff and I would just post every day because I didn't even think of it.
Yeah.
And now I've kind of stepped back and it's much better for my mental health, but there's a part of me that misses just like posting without really thinking, if that makes sense.
I feel like I've always been that does make a lot of sense, but I think the way the internet is set up, it's like I'm starting to step out of that now, but I used to be very like, what's the word? Just overthinking. You know what I mean? If I post how this is going to be perceived.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, like I don't want to be perceived. I just want to post and enjoy this like little space. But the internet is a scary place.
It is. Yeah. It meets the wrong eyes and now I'm like spiraling.
Yeah. But then also people's point is to kind of like go viral or do this and do that. So it's like this weird double, I don't know. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Another thing I want to talk to you about was your another series that you had was being a Jehovah Witness.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
Do you know any Jehovah's Witnesses?
No. So I grew up in the church as well. And I know, I feel like from memory, like didn't know them directly, but of someone, if that makes sense. But I didn't know, I didn't know people like that at all.
Okay. So basically, I feel like in the Black community, like religion and church is just really important. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it's like in Australia, but like for sure in Germany, like, and this is like a bit generalizing, but if I met like another Black girl and even if she wasn't in my school and we'd start talking and maybe it came up that I was a Jehovah's Witness, she had like a 50-50 chance of also being a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like they really targeted immigrant populations with the door knocking, and that's how they got my mum for sure. Like they were like door knocking, she needed community, she grew up religiously.
Did she have community in Germany?
Not really. So that immediately was like, church is good, God is good, we're gonna be Jehovah's Witnesses because they actually make an effort to like meet 3 days a week. We'd be at Jehovah's Witnesses meetings, while like for my friends who are like Catholic or whatever, they go to church once a year.
Yeah.
So for her, it was like, this is so good.
And the thing is, like, I've had this conversation so many times. Like, in a way, there's good in it, because I feel like when you feel that sense of like you're isolated, you don't have community, you don't have. If you can take the good parts of religion and kind of apply that to your life and then have community, I completely understand.
Yeah.
Because it is a very like, isolating experience to be in like a white country and have like no one, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and also like, the good side of religion is like, it is grounding, it's comfort, it's giving you hope. But then there's always the other side of it,
the other side, which is like, you spend so much of your time there, you're always donating money to it, and like we already didn't have a lot of money, so I was like, why are we giving this money to the church? And then also I think a lot of the teachings in the Jehovah's Witness community in particular are very much isolating you from the outside world. So like I was raised believing that anyone who wasn't a Jehovah's Witness was going to die. Anyone who wasn't a Jehovah's Witness was like not to be like married to or like fully trusted. They were like worldly, and we were not worldly. I couldn't go to anyone's birthday party. I never had a birthday party as a child. I never had a Christmas.
Is that within the religion? Like,
that's within the religion. You can't have birthdays. You can't have Christmas or any other sort of holidays. None of the holidays are kind of based around, you know what makes holidays holidays? I think it's like you're having food with your family, you're like exchanging gifts, you're like seeing people you haven't seen in a long time. We didn't have any of that.
Wow.
And living in a world where you can't avoid it because you're going to school and you're going to have to get a job eventually, it was really isolating.
Did you, and even like we hear a lot about the door knocking and all that. Did you have to do that?
I did door knocking. When I was little, I'd like come with my mum. I like wouldn't say anything. But then when I was like a teenager, I was like door knocking.
What is that like? Because for me, this is someone who just hears like, you hear like certain things about Jehovah Witness, and you hear like all you hear is door knocking. I'm like, what does that mean? Is it like a weekly? Yeah,
people go weekly usually. You all meet up at the church, and then you like split into groups. You have a map of where you're going.
Wow.
So you have a map of the streets, and you do like 2 of you will do one side of the street and 2 of you will do the other. And then you take notes of like where you've been and what they've said. So some people would be like telling us they're like Satanists because they're like, don't knock on this door again. So there'd be like a little note, number 30 Satanist, do not knock.
Oh my God.
Like the details, it's actually crazy. So we split up in our little groups, we're door knocking, and the reason is that Jesus said that his disciples should spread the word to the world, and by doing that we make sure that everyone has heard about Jehovah, and that when the end of the world comes and everyone who's not a Jehovah's Witness dies, that we can say we've preached to everyone.
Wow.
So that's why.
Yeah, that's like, it's, the thing is that I feel like every religion has its, the part of it that's extreme,
Yeah.
And I can relate to you when you say, because my parents both were refugees. They moved to Sudan.
Yeah.
And we grew up, the Orthodox is a religion in Ethiopia. It's like the main religion. And then to convert to like a Pentecostal is almost, it's frowned upon, like very much like you can't do that. Or like a lot of people don't do that anyway. But I think a lot of it, my mum would tell me that it was seen as kind of like the white religion. Like they would go, because they're refugees now in Sudan, and they'd have like missionaries obviously come and spread the word and like kind of just like convert them basically.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of like teachings and stuff that they didn't get in the Orthodox religion that they felt like they got in the thing. So we grew up baptized Orthodox, but then grew up Pentecostal.
Yeah.
And then I had the same. I feel like when I grew up, I had a family church. It was fine. It was like, you're young, you're just in church and everything. But then I moved to a youth group, and it just became really intense. And that was what kind of strayed me away from religion. I think I was about like 17, where I just stopped going to church, and I just stopped like doing all of that because it was I think when you shove anything down someone's throat, it just becomes this like, it's like traumatizing. You don't want to go there,
right?
And that whole experience becomes like something that you feel like it's a negative experience. That's what it was for me. And then I feel like I became traumatized, left, and completely moved away from the church. But now I feel like I'm open to learning it more for myself. And stepping into faith more, but in my own journey.
Absolutely. And wouldn't it be nice if there was a place where you could be chill about it?
Chill about it.
Like, I don't want to go 5 days a week and like have to marry someone with the same faith and like blah, blah, blah. No, I just want to like be with people who also believe that other human beings deserve life. You know, like.
And I think there's a way that like, because even like the church is not the people at the end of the day. And I think it's the people that corrupt the teachings, whatever it is. But like you can find... Like for me, I'm starting to understand that and trying to not like connect. It gets toxic because you're like, when you're in it, and it's hard to like, not be in it and not have like negative experiences sometimes. But it's always each to their own, I think, as
Absolutely.
well. Yeah. So for you, what age were you? I'm assuming you're not Jehovah Witness anymore.
No, not at all. I was 16 when I left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was...
I mean, because I moved to live with my dad, it was quite easy. So after my mum passed, I stayed with one of her friends who was also a Jehovah's Witness, just so I could like finish the school year while we were figuring out basically what was going to happen with me, because I didn't have any other relatives in Germany aside from my mum. And then I was like, well, I mean, I guess I have my dad. I hadn't really spent any time with him, but he lived in Bolivia.
Did you have a relationship with him?
No, I'd never even like spoken to him in 10 years.
Wow.
And then I went to like visit him, and then based on that, I was like, well, I'll just move here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because he was never a Jehovah's Witness, he was always like an atheist. So I was like, okay, nice.
So then now what's your relationship with faith now?
I mean, I definitely have my own moral guidelines that I probably still sort of informed by how I grew up. But I, don't practice by going to the church or like, I don't really pray anymore. I used to pray before every single meal.
Yeah.
And
was this when you were Jehovah's Witness or even out? Yeah.
Like I just was like forced upon us.
Yeah.
So it's sort of the thing you said about like when it's forced on you, then you just want to let go of absolutely everything.
Yeah.
But now I'm sort of like, I have said some prayers for specific like reasons. But I just wish that it wasn't still such a negative connotation for me, because in a way it's just meditation.
Yeah, it is. And I think like it's fair for it to be that feeling for you. I think it comes like, I think you have to get to a point, if you want to anyway, but like for all of us, if something is that traumatizing, it's like, you have to get to a point where you want it just for yourself. And I think that experience can kind of like override what you experience. But it's so true. It's so hard. It's so hard. But yeah, because what I found interesting was that you came here and you were so after you've now left, you've lived with you've got so many lives. You lived with your dad, and then you met someone and you came to Australia.
Yeah.
But now you're married.
Yes.
Yeah, to a woman.
Yeah, crazy.
I saw that you got married in Vegas, which was beautiful. Like you were eloped in Vegas. Again, what was that transition? Were you always queer? Were you bi? Like what was the...
Yeah, I feel like looking back, I understand that a lot of the friendships I had with girls were like crazy. Like
crazy in what
like
way?
We were just calling each other 3 hours a day after spending all day together in school.
Yeah.
And like not that I was like in love with my best girlfriend at the time, but I was like so much more interested in spending time with other girls. And I've always been like a girl's girl. I've never been like, I'm friends with the boys. Like I liked boys because everyone liked boys.
Yeah. But it was, not deeper than that for you?
Yeah, I feel like I'd been in long-term relationships with men that were fine. One that was really toxic, but one that was like, it was a normal relationship, and dating guys, like, for me, never felt so serious. Like my friends would be like so upset over like dates going bad, and I would just like cycle through guys, like go on like 3 dates a week, like not give a fuck, never text back, like hurt their feelings, not care. And I think that's kind of normal for some girls.
Yeah.
But I'm actually quite a like emotional and sensitive person. Like if I was dating a girl, then I'd be like, oh no, what is she gonna think of me? I'm like so worried about it.
Yeah, okay.
So I definitely identified as bi for a really long time because I was dating like both genders. But the intensity of the feelings and like commitment was just a bit different. So eventually I was like, I couldn't see myself with a guy like, anymore.
That's so interesting. And it's like, I saw a few stories on your story, and it was like people kind of stepping into I guess accepting and stepping into that wholeheartedly. Was that hard for you at all?
Luckily it was pretty easy. Like I've always had really supportive friends.
Yeah.
So like when I was bi, none of my friends were like, you have to choose, you know, because I think that's the thing that sometimes happens for people who are bi. Or when I was dating girls, nobody was like criticizing me or anything. So I was always like accepted by my core friend group, and then I was just feeling like free to do what I wanted to, because I think the other benefit I have is like I don't have like parents in my ear,
or like people that
are like thinking back to. Sometimes I think it's your oldest friends that criticize you the most. Hey, like, and my oldest friends I've known for like 10 years, but they've always been supportive.
Yeah,
so
that's beautiful, because sometimes it's also like that expectation of, you know, when you live in the city that you come from, or you're like around the people that you've always been around, it's really hard to step into or even experiment with life in general, like start doing different careers or this and this, because people kind of put their expectations onto you.
Yes.
So I can understand like if things like just in general stepping into yourself wholeheartedly, I think in a place where you're so familiar with everything around you can be really difficult.
Yeah. I think that's why so many people like move, right? They like
literally
move, leave, come back a new person. Yeah.
Just looking at all the things that you've done, and I guess like all the like what lives that you've lived, it's
a bit crazy. I feel like one day I'll have my best friend's child and I like tell him all my life story.
You need to have a book.
He'll be like, shut up, auntie.
Okay, we're going to step into the next segment, and this segment is called Bitter or Sweet. I'm going to give you a scenario.
Yes.
It's like a agree or disagree. Okay, so I'll give you the scenario and then let me know what you think. First thing is gatekeeping your favorite things. Bitter or sweet?
Sweet.
Oh, okay. Why?
I think we live in a world where everyone is sharing everything, especially when it comes to your favorite things. I'm thinking of like restaurants, experiences. Everyone's like, you have to find this hidden restaurant. You have to go to this restaurant or cafe that I love. And it's all for content.
Yeah.
So a lot of the places are overhyped. And I'm definitely gatekeeping places I love, because I'm like, I don't want to see everyone here. They're already busy. And if you ask me in a DM, I'll tell you.
Yeah, 100%. And the power of TikTok. Power of, you'll be like, and I'm so sick of people saying hidden gem. It's not hidden anymore.
It's not hidden. It has 2 million views.
What are we talking about hidden? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And even I was telling the girls, there was that, remember when Sarah V first became popular?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Someone posted about it, and you could not find that face wash for the life. I could not find it anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just, I agree with you. We need to bring back gatekeeping.
Yeah.
1000%. Okay, next question. If you invite your friends to a birthday dinner, you should pay. Bitter or sweet?
Ooh, bitter. 'Cause I've done this. Okay, so I've invited a bunch of my friends to like a big birthday lunch. There were 20 people.
Yeah.
And in the invitation, though, I specified, I was like, I'd love to see you. It's a sit down 4-course meal. This is how much it costs.
Okay.
And And if you want to come, that's fine. But also, I totally understand it's on the expensive side. If you don't want to come, we can catch up another time.
Yeah.
So based on that, I think you don't have to pay for the dinner if you tell people what
let them know.
what it's going to be.
I feel like I agree. I agree with that. I think when it comes to dinners, everyone should kind of assume that it's like pay for your own dinner.
How am I gonna pay for 10 people?
How am I gonna pay for 10 people? We're looking at. I don't even know what we're looking at. I think it's gonna be plus 10,000.
Like $60 a person, maybe more.
Maybe, and if you have like 20 people or 10, 15 people, who's paying for that bill?
No way. And then also, like, I'm not asking for gifts, so it's like pay for your own meal and we hang out and it's sweet.
We usually, like, you know what it is, if it's like a close group of friends and it's someone's birthday, it's like we would pay for our own and put together to pay for
them.
Yeah,
I think that's right. That's how it should be. But if it's like a big party,
everyone just pays for themselves.
Right.
What I don't think I agree with is so there was like it's like if you have a function space or if you have like even a little Airbnb situation or whatever, and you've invited everyone to come, I feel like you should pay for that.
I agree.
And I feel like it's because I had this dilemma basically where my birthday is coming up and I'm like, oh, I want to get this space. And if we go out for dinner, it will be the cost of the meal. Everyone just pays for their dinner.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, if we get the space, it'll be cheaper. But then because I'm paying for food and like drinks, do I pay for that or do I tell people, hey, per head, this is what you pay? And I was like, it's just something to do with the etiquette. I feel like it's two different scenarios. Even though they're paying less for the function space, it feels weird to tell them to pay.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I really don't know because I have a birthday coming up where I'm like, I want to do something fun for everyone and like treat everyone to something, but then I'm like, my budget.
Yeah, I can't be paying for it.
Like,
you need to, I think a dinner is just like the safe way to do it.
It
if you're trying
is.
to be, if you just want everyone to kind of pay their way. When's your birthday?
September.
Oh, okay.
So,
I thought you were going to say July.
Oh, is yours in July? Yeah, so you're thinking now. I'm thinking like 3 months in advance because I'm crazy.
I should be like that. I'm the worst when it comes to, I don't know what it is. It's like I think about it so much, but I don't move until like
the last minute.
The finish line. Which, anyway, is not great, but we move.
You get it done.
We get it done. That's what happens at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay, last segment here is the dilemma segment. So every week we get our listeners to send in a dilemma. And this week's dilemma says, as an avoidant person, I tend to attract men that are the same. Is there any way that I can change that? Because I won't budge. Girl.
Sis,
wake up. It's like you need to, I'll let you answer this first.
No, but like you attract what you put out.
Period.
So how do you expect a man to attach himself to you when you're like pushing him away? And also, I know this is a bit gendered, but I do think like men deep down want to be wanted just as much as women.
Deep down, or just like I really feel like in the surface?
At the surface?
I feel like men are so easy to kind of, and that's like, I don't want to put this out there because, I feel like we do this, but I feel like with men, they just need that little bit of validation. They love to be, they love to feel like they want it. They love to feel like they're needed and it could be the minor things. Like I need help with da-da-da-da-da.
Even if you don't need help with it, you just say it. So
but if you're like a hyper independent woman, I feel like men tend to not be into it.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. And I think with like, if you know that you're an avoidant attachment style, you actually have an advantage because now you can work on it.
Yeah.
People are out there being avoidant and they don't even know it. And they're like, oh, why am I like never attracting anyone who wants to like attach to me? And they don't realize they're avoidant. Girl, you're avoidant. Like work on it.
So how do you work on it though? Because she's saying, is there any way, how can I change that?
Okay. So start with small things like getting, more comfortable asking like your friends, people you love for like help, so you're not like hyper independent like you said.
Yeah.
And then also like dig in and find out why you're avoidant, because you've been hurt in the past, but now you're putting the trauma an ex gave you onto every other relationship.
Yeah.
Like,
they say that the thing is, what is it? Hurt people hurt
people. Yeah.
It's so true. And I feel like as someone who, I feel like I'm more, once I learned about attachment styles, I do feel like I lean towards like being an avoidant person. The way she's like looking at me like, yeah, hun. So I get it. But the whole, the I won't budge sis is crazy.
Yeah.
Because you need to, how are you knowing that you're someone that needs to be like, you know that you're an avoidant person, you know you're attracting something you don't like, but you're refusing to change. I think there's like a question mark there. And I think that you need to like, I understand sometimes when you feel like I'm not the problem, they are, but I think in this situation, if you know you need to heal, maybe take a step back from dating and just like get to know yourself more.
Absolutely.
And I think it takes time.
It does.
Yeah.
And people feel like often there's a rush to be in a relationship by a certain age or something. But I just went to this wedding in my friend group where a lot of my friends were traveling by themselves. They're single, they're independent. They have such like amazing and full lives while they're dating, like while they're looking. Like people forget, you don't need to like pause your life until you have a partner. You can do everything by yourself.
Do all those things. I know. I think it's like obviously like the older you get, especially I do feel like as a woman, you feel like, okay, there's that whole like if I don't find someone for some reason, it's like 30 feels like time's up. You know what I mean? And it's like obviously we know now, like I've got friends that are much older, and it's just like I think it's a bullshit statement. I don't think it makes any sense. I think a lot of us like you almost like thrive in your 30s. It's different, but it does feel like if you're not finding the right person, or if you're not kind of going in that direction, you're behind. Yeah. But
in reality, like you probably have other things going for you that they don't.
Yeah.
Like they might have the relationship, but maybe you are further in your career or like further in your mental health journey or something else.
And it's different to I feel like when you start to see, like I think people might seem successful from the outside, but then when you get to know them, it's a different, like everyone has their kind of flaws or things that they feel like they're not achieving in this life. So take your time to heal, my sis, and come back when you're ready to be in a healthy relationship, because I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But that's all we have for today.
Oh my gosh, such a pleasure chatting with you.
It was
like
so
time
good.
just flew by.
It really did, yeah. I feel like this was long overdue.
Yes.
Thank you so much for jumping on.
Thanks for having me.
And can you let the people know where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Aurelia.com and on TikTok at Auriela St Clair.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the first episode. It's so good to be back. Before I end the episode, I just want to give a shout out to DJ City for again elevating our entire studio with the equipment, and you guys can get 10% off all their products if you sign up to our mailing list, and you can see the discount there, as well as wear Nala. You can get some cute briefs, bras, underwear, girlies, you know what's up. And for everyone else, don't forget to send in your dilemmas. We read them every week on the pod, and we'll see you guys again next week. Bye.